It was just after 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon when passengers aboard United Flight 2323 thought they were about to experience a routine landing at Orlando International Airport. They were wrong. What happened next would shut down one of Florida's busiest airports and leave 200 passengers with a story they'll never forget. The Airbus A321neo had departed Chicago O'Hare that morning at 8:55, carrying 200 passengers and 6 crew members on what should have been a straightforward 3.5-hour flight to the Sunshine State. But as the aircraft began its descent into Orlando, Mother Nature had other plans. Wind gusts were howling across central Florida at 54 miles per hour, with some areas seeing gusts up to 56 miles per hour. The National Weather Service had already issued high wind warnings for parts of the region. As Flight 2323 approached the runway, passengers could feel the aircraft being tossed around by the violent winds. The pilots, fighting to maintain control, brought the plane down hard onto the tarmac. That's when things went from bumpy to terrifying. Eyewitnesses from nearby aircraft watched in horror as the plane didn't just land, it wagged and bounced violently across the runway like a fish out of water. During that chaotic touchdown sequence, something unprecedented happened. One of the 2 wheels on the nose landing gear simply sheared off completely. Passengers inside the cabin felt the aircraft lurch and tilt as the detached wheel went rolling away to the right of the aircraft, captured on viral video that would soon spread across social media. The pilots, displaying remarkable skill under pressure, managed to bring the crippled aircraft to a safe stop on the runway. But now Orlando International Airport had a major problem. A disabled aircraft was blocking one of their main runways, with debris scattered across the tarmac. The Federal Aviation Administration immediately issued a ground stop for all arrivals and departures at MCO. Every flight coming into one of America's busiest airports was suddenly stuck in a holding pattern or diverted elsewhere. Departing flights sat at their gates, going nowhere. Emergency crews rushed to the scene as passengers aboard Flight 2323 realized they wouldn't be walking off this plane the normal way. Instead of pulling up to a gate, they found themselves evacuated directly onto the taxiway. Airport rescue and firefighting teams, known as AARF, coordinated the unusual evacuation as buses were brought out to transport the shaken but uninjured passengers to the terminal. The ripple effects were immediate and widespread. Orlando International Airport, which handles tens of thousands of passengers daily, suddenly found itself in crisis mode. Flight boards throughout the terminals began lighting up red with delays and cancellations. Travelers who had nothing to do with United Flight 2323 found themselves stranded, their carefully planned vacations and business trips thrown into chaos. United Airlines quickly issued a statement confirming the mechanical issue and praising their crew's professionalism. The aircraft, a relatively new Airbus A321neo with registration number N14502, was immediately removed from service for what the airline called a thorough maintenance review. But questions remained. Was this purely the result of the brutal wind conditions, or had mechanical fatigue played a role in the wheel failure? Investigators from the FAA began their work immediately, trying to determine whether the failure was caused by the sheer force of what aviation experts were calling a hard landing, the 54-mile-per-hour wind gusts, or some underlying mechanical issue that had gone undetected. The fact that a wheel could completely detach during landing raised serious questions about aircraft maintenance and the limits of what these planes can handle in severe weather. As the afternoon wore on, airport operations slowly began returning to normal. The ground stop was eventually lifted and updated to a ground delay, allowing some flights to resume. But the damage was done. Hundreds of flights experienced delays, and thousands of passengers found their travel plans disrupted by an incident that lasted just seconds, but had consequences that rippled through the entire aviation system. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the incredible forces at play every time an aircraft touches down. Landing gear systems are designed to handle enormous stresses, but the combination of severe weather and a hard landing can push even the most robust engineering to its breaking point. For the passengers aboard Flight 2323, what started as a routine trip to Orlando became a harrowing reminder of just how quickly things can go wrong in aviation, and how the skill of pilots and quick response of emergency crews can mean the difference between a scary story and a genuine tragedy.